We're going to be talking about stromatolites. I titled this one, What Can We Learn from Some Cool Rocks? And how many times can I say cool before it gets annoying? I already know, based on a quick skim of my resources, that this was going to be a relatively short research session. Therefore, my need for length and quality means that I'll have to come up with a topic to stack on top of this one. So be prepared to hear little information on the actual topic and then move to a hopefully closely related but likely only minorly adjacent topic to satiate my ridiculous rules. What are stromatolites? Stromatolites are layered deposits mainly consisting of limestone formed by blue-green algae growth, a primitive single-celled organism, usually characterized by thin alternating light and dark layers that may be flat, uneven, or dome-shaped. These layers are most often produced by sediment being washed up during storms and getting trapped. On some occasions, limestone precipitation helps this occur. Stromatolites were common during the Precambrian era, which was more than 542 million years ago. For reference, some of the first life forms on Earth are recorded in stromatolites present in rocks 3.5 billion years old. Though stromatolites continue to form in certain areas of the world today, they grow most commonly in Shark Bay in Western Australia. This is because evaporation causes high concentrations of salt, discouraging snails and other organisms from eating the blue-green algae, allowing a layer to form on the surface of sediments. Editors of Encyclopedia Britannica 2019. Fossils. To understand why stromatolites are so amazing, especially fossilized ones, we've first got to understand fossils. The way that things become fossilized is quite a delicate process, and not every living organism can become one. In fact, chances are incredibly low, near impossible. Most things die and leave little or no trace. The body is consumed by scavengers to continue the life cycle of dirt, decayed by bacteria, or otherwise lost to the environment. But every so often, conditions are all lined up and we end up with a fossil. These fossils can take many different forms. They may be bones turned to stone, shells embedded in a rock, leaves imprinted onto sediment. Even footprints of dinosaurs have been imprinted in mud. Sometimes, as is the case with trace fossils, it isn't built of the remains at all. Instead, it is signs of life, like nests, trails, burrows, or feces. While fossils can take many forms and many different processes, all of them are miracles of time. Mohammed Touheen, 2025. Cyanobacteria and lichens. For some backgrounds, I very recently finished reading Braiding Sweetgrass, which I highly suggest because each story is incredible and very well written, but that's besides the point. The reason I bring it up is because one of the stories references the relationship between fungi and algae. Further down the source, in earlier reference that is about stromatolites, there is information on blue-green algae, cyanobacteria, and more. These two pieces combined led me to talk about it here. Cyanobacteria can flourish in some of the most inhospitable environments known. The lichen story in the book cannot and is actually a very strong indicator of good breathing air. Forgive me for not remembering specific names. I'm not scientifically or mechanically inclined. Cyanobacteria are found in hot springs and cold laks under 5 meters of ice packs and on many rocks in deserts. They are frequently the first to take residence on bare rock or soil. Certain species, for example, grow in a mutualistic relationship with fungi, forming composite organisms known as lichens. That's a direct quote from the editors of Encyclopedia Britannica 2017. There are almost 15,000 species of symbiotic relationships between algae, usually green, or cyanobacteria and fungi, most commonly ascomycetes and basidiomycetes. Lichen is found worldwide and occurs in many differing environmental conditions. They can cover a wide range of surfaces like tree bark, exposed rock, and soil. Lichens have been used as food, a source of medicine, and dye. They also contribute themselves to 2/3 of the food supply for caribou and reindeer in the far northern range. Lichens were originally classified as single organisms until the microscope was invented. They had also been assumed to be a pair between a single fungus and a single photosynthetic partner, but macrolichens have been shown to feature yeast and bacteria. Lichens are now understood to be communities of organisms instead of a singular association or couple. The editors of Encyclopedia Britannica 2018. Lichen is cool. Another really good read if you enjoy horror, or more specifically gothics, is Mexican Gothic. I wouldn't want to spoil it too much, but I presume I have by including it here. Either way, it's a curious attempt at understanding organisms much more complex than we can imagine. Many other movies, shows, books, and short-form content make attempts at understanding these organisms in a different manner, but I haven't found many that do it in a horror form, or maybe I just haven't been looking hard enough. fungi networks. Even more curious is that trees may be communicating through fungal networks. From the tips of roots, fungi form an underground network that benefits both the trees and the fungus. The filaments, hyphae, break down minerals in the soil that the trees can absorb through their roots, and the fungi get a regular supply of sugar from the trees. These are known as mycorrhizal networks, and research has been hinting at their existence for a while. It's believed that trees can share resources and may even be cooperating through this network. One example being that older trees may be passing resources to seedlings the way a parent would nurture a child. Papa's 2023. Many authors see forests as cooperative and caring places. I see this as amplified in my mind through reference to breeding sweetgrass, in that some species flourish with human intervention because many plants' relationships with living beings of other species are mutually beneficial. We often choose not to see humans as a part of the environment because we have technology or whatever, but truthfully, there is still a purpose we are fulfilling on the earth by existing, and it's about time we learn some gratitude and reciprocity. The difficulty many are finding in understanding mycorrhizal networks is that they are incredibly delicate. If you dig up a root, you likely destroy the entire web that you were intending to study. To understand the map takes incredible amounts of work, and very few studies are being conducted. Another key piece that the fungal network's ephemeral nature throws at researchers is that after connections are split, fungi can grow as individuals. What that means is that fungi collected at two different trees can provide genetic ties, but can't reveal if the two are truly connected. The fungi could have been severed by a death or by something taking a bite out of it. The science behind it all is very fragile, and there are very many pieces of the tests that could tie to or let fall apart the reasoning behind this belief. Papa's 2023. With that being said, mushrooms are cool too. Yes, I know not all fungi are mushrooms, you get the point I'm making. No wonder they'd create cool things with other plant species. I would also like to extend the designation of being cool to trees. Understanding them is presumably just as complex, and they live for a very long time. I like to imagine at times all the things that trees must have seen. If they remember, and I choose to believe that they do, they hold so much history. Even if they cannot remember or feel or any of the things we choose to proclaim as solely human behaviors, they've been around much longer, approximately 384,700,000 more years than we have. How long have trees existed in evolutionary history? 2025 and Larry 2022. There's something to be learned from them, many things in all likelihood. Closing remarks. This is still a much shorter essay than I would have liked it to be, but I can only go on talking about the types of plants I think are cool for so long. In fact, a very long time. I haven't even gotten to flowers or berries. Either way, I hope this brief story was an enjoyable one, and I will see you guys in the next one. As always, my references will be in the Substack and Patreon links in the description.